listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer? The drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
All right. Good morning, Fred Costello.
Good morning, Lawrence Maxwell. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Starting to feel a little bit like spring.
It is. It sure is. It wasn't, it was nice yesterday. It wasn't nice like it was Sunday. Sunday was
great.
Sunday was nice, man.
Yeah, it was really
Sunday
special
was
out.
nice. But, looking at the weather, I usually just look at my phone now. I don't really watch the Weather Channel. Yeah, we're looking at like 50-degree days, and we got a little cold night coming up on, what is it, Saturday?
We got a couple bumps in the road.
Yeah, Saturday night, 19. But, yeah, like today's only getting up to 36. Tomorrow, 50. Friday, 50. Saturday, 41, cold at night. Yeah, then Monday, 52. Tuesday, 55. So, who knows?
We're on a
We're supposed to get a little snow later, but then it's going to turn to sleet. But
that's okay.
I don't know. We might be out of the woods as far as winter goes.
I'm kind of feeling that. Hope so.
Yeah, I only went skiing like 3 times this year. I'm like, last year I went like 11.
Why didn't you go more? The conditions
I
are
went
actually
to Florida a couple times. Normally me and Cam and a bunch of us, we go to Vermont every year. We didn't go this year because Cam's going to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves in a couple days to go skiing in Italy, so we just bagged the trip. Plus, it's really expensive to go up there. And when we were booking the thing in December, they were still on the Vermont's a little more liberal than New York, if you can conjure that for yourself.
Yep.
They were still a little leery with the house we had with the COVID stuff. Now it's back to normal. But last year when we went up there, the lodges weren't open. You're changing in the parking lot, putting your boots on. It's not the same.
Yeah, that's kind of camping.
Yeah, and when it's really windy and cold, it's hard to change using the back of your car. It's not really. Not only is it not comfortable, it's just not. Oh, I forgot about YouTube.
Yeah,
I'm so used to not having YouTube that I keep forgetting to switch the camera over.
Yeah, well, I put on a nice hat today.
Yeah,
so.
You got a nice hat on. You got shorts on yet?
No, I didn't wear shorts today.
You could have.
I could have. It's going to be nice out.
No, you had them on Saturday. Or Sunday. I almost had them on.
Sunday was a real nice day.
Yeah. When we woke up Sunday, it was a little chilly out, but boy, it got nice quick.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, by 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was like
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really nice out.
Messy but beautiful. Lawrence, don't I used to ski. I haven't skied in years, but now everybody I know that still skis does one of those passes because all the local mountains are affiliated with.
Oh yeah, it's called the what's the name of that pass? I forget. They sold too many of them this year, and they weren't honoring them. I think Bill was just calling it. I missed him. They weren't honoring them at some of the mountains. I forget what the name of that pass is. There's like 35 mountains on that thing.
Yeah.
And you can go anywhere from out west to Vermont to places in New York to all over the place. No, I didn't get that one. What I do want to get, though, and I forgot to get it this year, and my friend Tom Murphy has it, and I don't know if Cam has one. I think he does, is the midweek non-holiday pass to Bel Air. It's $299. I think it's $300 a year. You can only ski during the week and on a non-holiday weekend, which is fine because I usually like to go up Friday after the show is over, as long as all my work is done, jump in the car, drive up to Bel Air. I only got about 10 to 15 runs in me, Fred, before I'm like, sore.
Before you had enough.
Yeah, and what I do is usually I'll get up there at like 9:30 or 10 and ski till I'm tired, and then that's it. Sit on the Adirondack chair, enjoy the sun for a few hours or an hour, and then, go back to Kingston. And usually back in Kingston by 3 o'clock. And
but a pass like that makes it, you don't feel the pressure to have to.
It's 8. I went there. Let me see. The last time I went to Bel Air, it was $90 to ski on a Friday, or $85 or something. So what? I was like, so if I get this pass next year, and I got to buy it before December 1st, if I ski 5 times, I'll have my money back and more. So I think that's the thing to do. But this year I wouldn't have got my money's worth out of it. So I'm going skiing 2 more times. Next week is the Benedictine Benedictine Hospital Foundation. Every year, this is their 4th year doing it. They rent out Platikill Mountain, which is in Roxbury, and they rent the whole mountain out for the day for $5,000, and it comes with food, happy hour for like a couple hours at the end of the day, and it's nice. It's basically everybody from Kingston that goes there, people that donate to the Happy Christmas Fund, all basically people that I know. A couple hosts from KCR will be there. Dan Gruner is on the board for that foundation. There's a bunch of people that are going. Brad Jordan goes, and Cam goes.
That's
Tom
fun.
Murphy goes. He's actually the one that got me into it.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that next Tuesday after the show is over. I'll be going to Platikill. And then Elks Lodge does, they did one already in February, but every month during the ski season, Elks Lodge does a Bel Air ski day. So
Okay.
we go up and we actually tailgate in the parking lot. They have these lots up in Bel Air where you can park for free. And if you bring your own grill, as long as you clean up after yourself,
They don't mind?
They don't care what you do. So you can bring a grill and cook hamburgers and hot dogs. They don't care that you're not going.
That's fun. If you get a nice
and
day, that's a
they
great
have
time.
outhouses out in the parking lot. I mean, it's really like, I was like, what they started doing it during COVID, and then they just left it up. And because people, the
lodges are closed.
Yeah, the lodges were closed, and at least Bel Air was letting you go in and go to the bathroom. In Vermont, they were only letting you go in one at a time. It was, I
Kinda
felt
rough.
sorry for the women. I mean, the men can ski into the woods, and it's a little easier. But
Right, you're in the woods. There's a lot of.
you can't ask a woman to do that.
That's fun. So you didn't ski much this year. You kind of missed out.
Yeah, they left these things up. I thought that was one good. I was like, wow, that's one good thing that COVID brought. I was like, you can, because who thinks about tailgating when you're going skiing? Sometimes it's so cold. You're like, I'm not standing outside, and but when the sun is out, and Cam brought all the stuff up to have a fire. It was just too windy that day, but it turned out to be a really nice day, and and I didn't spend one. I didn't buy a beer. Well, we brought up a cooler full of soda, beer, wine, water and stuff. But we didn't go into the lodge at all, just to go to the bathroom once.
That's fun. I don't know that the mountain appreciates that.
It's the first time that I ever did it, but I was just, there was 35 people there.
That's fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of people at this. We thought maybe 10 or 15 people were coming. We had a good time though.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. That's almost like going tailgating at the football game.
I don't think we had 35 people at a tailgate this year. They were terrible. Yeah, I don't think. So what do you think about this stuff with baseball, Fred? Did they get it ironed out yet? I mean, this is. I'm already. I don't like baseball to begin. I mean, I like baseball. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard for me to sit through and watch a whole Yankee game now. It takes forever, man. Yeah. It's like 3-4 hours. At least with football, it's moving a little faster. I know they got to go back to the huddle and call a play, but at least when the action is happening. And
we were talking about this last night. It feels like. When Michael Jordan was around and the NBA was what it was, it seemed like the best athletes were involved in that. And then baseball had a nice little run there. The Yankees were hot for a good run, and we had the home run chase with Barry Bonds and all those guys.
Right, baseball. It seemed like it was bouncing back, and then, then the steroids thing kind of wailed on it for a bit, and
that cast a bad shadow.
And now. And I thought at first it was the players that were being more greedy. No, it's the owners wanting more from the players. I don't.
It's kind of it's. I
just don't understand.
Pathetic and comical though. You have, these folks can't relate to the average person who's worried about a gas price at all.
I know. I mean, but Mike Trout makes $42 million a year. I mean, remember when A-Rod got that big contract years ago, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous." Yeah. And I remember I was like, "Okay, so if you're a Major League Baseball player and you don't miss any games, or you play 160 out of the 162 games, you get up to bat like between 630 and 650 times per year."
Yep.
So I took 600, we'll say 650, and divided that by the $27 million a year that A-Rod was making, and I thought that was, I can't believe this guy's making all that money. Yeah. That's nothing.
I know.
Trout makes 42.
I know.
And now I see Aaron Rodgers yesterday. I know it's not official yet, and they're saying some guy in the deli today said it was a rumor, but Rodgers is going to get paid $50 million a year. He hasn't won a Super Bowl in 12 years?
Yeah, and
I know he's a good quarterback, and he's got 2 back-to-back MVPs.
Phenomenal, but
someone needs to take that guy.
He's not getting any younger.
Yeah,
either.
No, I mean, he's really good at his game. I'm not gonna, but and it's crazy. The Packers. Now I'm 49 or whatever. And the Giants haven't had many. Well, they've had quite a few in my 49 years of life. But the Packers in the last 30. If you're a 35-year-old man and you're a Packer fan, there's only been 2 quarterbacks for the Packers in the last 35 years.
It's a pretty good run.
That's crazy.
I know, and
the Browns in that time have had 29. They were doing all these comparisons on TV yesterday. I was like, oh, my God. So, anyway.
That's a reflection on the strength of the organization, too.
It does, but who wants to live in Wisconsin? I mean, nothing against people in Wisconsin, I'm sure. I'm just saying, but if you're a guy making millions of dollars, where would you rather be living? In L.A. or New York or Miami or, somewhere like that? Or Chicago? Or maybe not Chicago with the crime, but...
I don't know.
Or probably not New York either, but okay, Miami or L.A. or somewhere.
Yeah, but he's royalty there in Wisconsin.
He is, but what's the capital of Wisconsin? Racine?
Yeah, probably.
No, Madison.
Madison?
How big is it? A million people? I mean, Albany's probably bigger than Madison, dude. Maybe not. That's probably a little far-fetched, but anyway.
But it's I don't know. It's kind of a interesting thing, and there's that deep-rooted culture about the Packers, especially. So it's not a bad job.
So on to a different thing before we got to go to break, and maybe we can get Bill McKenna to call in at 7:30 before Kevin comes and brings. Me and you are going to eat like kings today if it's just me and you, because Kevin never eats any of the food he brings. Yeah, he just drinks coffee.
Yep.
So me and you could end up eating like 10 sandwiches each. maybe I shouldn't talk about it so he doesn't. I mean, he's like, if he hears it's only me and you, he might only buy 2. This KCR breakfast, though, is turning out. Cam's like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough room. I'm like, well, we're going to have to put people on the second floor then, dude. Because, the Elks Lodge in Kingston, it's right next to, I don't know if you've ever been to the Elks Lodge. It's right next to the old...
Right next to the old Freeman building, right?
Yeah, it's just 2 doors down. It's 143 Hurley Avenue. They have a nice parking lot, they have a decent-sized parking lot in the front. But we were going to try to put everybody in their room where they do their meetings. We had a big long table where Cam and Nina and where they're going to interview their guests and whoever, I forget who I think Coach House Players is one of their guests that day, and I forget who else is on. Oh, Kiwanis is on talking about the Kingston Classic.
Yeah, lots happening this weekend, St. Patrick's Day stuff.
Yeah, tomorrow Sunday. We're going to have the Grand Marshal on as our 8 o'clock guest.
Cool.
Harry Waltman is the Grand Marshal for the...
That was leftover from pre-COVID.
Yeah, right? That's right, because he was retiring that year.
I remember that.
And they kept him on to do that, and then we haven't had a Shamrock Sunday in 2 years. I'm actually looking forward to it. Right now, the weather says it's supposed to be okay, so let's keep our fingers crossed.
That's fun.
As long as it doesn't rain, I don't think you could keep anyone in Kingston away from that.
No, that's just a kind of like we were talking about the weather at the beginning of the half hour. And kind of the Shamrock Run and the stuff that happens that Sunday is a kind of a kickoff to the better weather.
Yeah, it's like the end of winter. I agree.
The
but
distributors
the only thing
kind
that really
of
dampens the whole thing. It's still kind of we're as New Yorkers living in New York, we understand the cold. So if it's cold and windy that day, we can put up with that. You're drinking green beer in the street and eating corned beef.
Yeah,
but the rain to add on top of that, that's usually what would keep people away. But right now, it's looking like good weather, so let's keep our fingers crossed because I know Sal Guido is coming on the air Friday, so I'm sure he'll be talking about that. We got the Harry Waltman, the Grand Marshal, on tomorrow. We also have Central Hudson on tomorrow. I know my first question to them is going to be like, why is my electric bill $200? This one here at the station is like $200. We got the electric bill yesterday.
Yeah.
It's $200 more than it normally is. I mean, it was expensive this month.
So there's 2 things driving that. I mean, Central Hudson folks will speak to it better. Obviously, the fluctuations in energy costs. So people who are outside of a contract are experiencing those fluctuations. We did a CCA program in Sargedy, Community Choice Aggregation. Are you familiar with that at all?
No, I'm not.
So the Public Service Commission deregulated the energy markets a decade ago. And big energy consumers have benefited from that because they go into the energy markets and they can advocate on their own behalf and secure an energy contract. So they avoid those fluctuations. Small consumers of energy, folks that live in a home with 1 or 2 people, an apartment, something like that, have not benefited from that deregulation because it's a cumbersome process to go through. So a few years back, the Public Service Commission allowed community choice aggregation, and they let municipalities aggregate their electric meters with their neighboring communities, and now and hire an agent basically, and they go into the energy market and secure a contract on behalf of anybody who does not have one. So that's the community choice aggregation, and we joined a program like that last year. And when we did it, it was well received and controversial at the exact same time, because one of the tenets that people object to is you get a letter from the energy provider. If you did not pick an energy supplier, Central Hudson became your agent, and the community choice aggregation program would displace Central Hudson as the agent. So you get a letter indicating that, and the folks object to that because they don't want to be told who they're going to get for an energy provider.
We have no choice. We have to take Central Hudson, right? They're our only energy surplus. I mean, besides buying oil from...
No, you can buy it from a different company. There's Direct Energy, Ambient. There's a whole bunch of energy providers that will sell you the energy. Central Hudson will still distribute it.
Oh, I see.
But you can save money on the energy side of your bill. So we did exactly that.
So that's why we're getting charged more money?
Partly, yeah, because fluctuations in the energy cost.
So it's not going to go down?
Not in the immediate future, no. But so for residents who are listening in our town of Sargedy's residents, you can explore. It's an option for you.
So you personally are not feeling any of these price...
There's been increases in the distribution costs as well, and those spikes...
Because Kevin was talking about this 2 weeks ago, about the delivery the cost of delivery, that's another reason why it's going up.
That's
with
going up.
The gas and stuff like that.
And then there's errors in billing because Central
You've been to
Hudson.
the pump lately, man? I mean,
It's insane.
It is. I mean, I'm not really complaining too hard because I'm looking what they're paying in California.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot more motorists in California than there is in New York. But still, I mean, my God, man.
So let me just finish though. So if you're a Town of Saugerties resident, you can look at the CCA program. It's open enrollment. Residents who want to join, you can join, and then if you don't like it 2 months later, you can opt out. And right now, there's a huge incentive to join. The market rate for the Central Hudson Energy was like 20 cents a kilowatt, and the contract rate that we've secured through Columbia was like 7.3 cents per kilowatt.
Wow, that's a
so
big
there's
difference.
a serious, there's some nice savings there.
But that's
And-
just for Saugerties. So people that don't live in Saugerties.
Yeah, there's those CCA programs. I think New Paltz is part of the same one we're part of. Marbletown is part of the same one we're part of. So there's a few.
Kingston's a part of something
I don't believe Kingston is.
I would.
And Mayor Murphy's not on this morning, but they're working on joining up with the town to do that as well. So hopefully there's a little bit of relief on that side. And then there's been Central Hudson will be able to speak to this better, but they changed their billing software. And when they did that, the migration of the data from the old software to the new software did not go anywhere near according to plan, and they are working through that. So many folks are getting bills that are quite frankly wrong. And I've dealt with a few residents who didn't get bills for a few months, and now they're getting bills that reflect trying to catch up, but it's all at once. So they're getting $800, $900, $1,000 bills, which are out of reach for them. So if you're having that issue, Senator Hinchy's not on this morning, but her staff has been amazing at helping people work through this, and your bill may be incorrect. So there's if you're on a budget plan, just pay your budgeted amount. As they get through this billing cycle, it seems like it's
I got to move to
working out.
Saugerties now to get cheap energy.
That CCA program was a heavy lift for us because the conceptual idea that the town was telling people you were being forced
my mom
into
says
this.
her electric bill at her house, it didn't go up double, but it went up almost double. The bill for the towers on Snake Hill, that went up.
That went up quite a bit too.
It went up a lot. It didn't double, but it went up like $1,000. The one here for Radio Kingston, Jesus, what's wrong with me? For Kingston Community Radio, went up. It was normally like $150. This month it was like $350.
Really?
Yeah, but it's me and my mother don't know. I don't see an oil tank out there, and in the 2 years that we've been here, since we left John Street and came here, I haven't seen an oil truck go by. I have a feeling that we're using gas heat, so that's probably why.
That helps.
Usually, though, since we've been here, in the summer, the electric bill is way more money because I have to keep this equipment in here.
Cool.
It has to be at a certain temperature. In the winter, like after you guys leave, that thing goes to 60 degrees or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, we don't leave the heat on all night. We bring it down to like 65, and then I turn it up to 70 in the morning or whatever.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
that's nuts. Anyway, so Central Hudson's on tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
one of the
going to try to
questions that we're
listen
gonna be
because
asking.
I could benefit from that conversation too. And there's a lot happening, and I think the more information we get directly from them, the better, because the rumors are the worst things. But there's an energy crisis right now. What's happening in Ukraine is influencing everybody, and the economy's recovering a little bit. So
I'm still shocked. Well, not as of yesterday, we don't do it anymore. But I was still shocked that 65% of our oil comes from Russia. I was shocked when I heard that.
I didn't hear that. I thought
Maybe Fox and the New York Post are lying, but yeah, when Biden did his State of Address last week or whenever it was, and he was like, we just secured 30 million barrels of oil. And the country uses like 85 million in one day. So, 30 million barrels is that's like a half a day's worth of stuff. And then because $42 million a day or $42 million a month was going to Russia to buy oil from them.
Yeah,
we were importing oil from them.
Yeah,
that's what I was.
I didn't think it was a percentage that high. I thought
on Fox and CNN reported it too. We were spending 42 million a month. For Russia on oil.
Yeah, I thought it was
yesterday's poster.
We're the
he was
large
on TV yesterday saying we're stopping all imports oil.
Yeah, because it was less than 10% of our daily supply came from Russia, and we were going to stop that.
Well, then, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Fox to be telling, fictitious stuff, but it was something. I'll find it. Before we come back from break.
I do think so. There might be truth in both. They could represent 35% of the world's supply because it's the U.S. We're the largest supplier. Saudi Arabia is the next largest supplier, and then I think it's Russia.
Weren't we buying oil? Weren't we getting most of our oil from Saudi Arabia? What happened with all that? Was it?
I think we are almost. We could supply almost all the energy needs for ourselves. To be quite honest, a lot of the Alaskan oil goes to Japan and I think probably China, but a lot of our domestic supply we consume here, and we do buy a lot from Saudi Arabia, who they're not exactly nice people right now either. So that. It's like the less oil we use, the better off we are because we're making these bad people rich.
But what's going on in Ukraine is terrible, and this Putin guy is a complete jerk.
Yeah,
someone needs to do something with him, and his whole beef is like because Ukraine is part of NATO and they want a democracy. It's like stupid.
But that's it's such an arcane thing. People want to make their own decisions. It's that
really.
simple.
What's wrong with that? And I tell you, I like this Ukrainian president, man. This guy,
he's inspiring.
Yeah, man, he's cool. He's like, I don't want to ride out of here. I want some bullets.
Yeah,
I like the way he's ready to stand up for his,
courageous
his country, and
I
just feel bad for those people over there. We're in 2 weeks into this war, and it's terrible. So.
It's awful. It's awful.
So it's time to go to break.
All right, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Yeah,
I didn't do any of the housekeeping, so we'll do some announcements when we come back.
Yeah, and then we'll see if Bill maybe wants to come on. All right, we'll be back in a minute, folks.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here. And it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
To battle is to fight, to struggle, to overcome, and ultimately for the Marine Corps, it means to win. There is no alternative. It's not just a statement of intent. It's a promise to our nation. A promise kept for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Because the colors and quality of paint you choose matters, Herzog's Paint and Design Center, located in the Kingston Plaza, is there for you, offering the largest selection of Benjamin Moore paints and the area's most complete line of painting supplies. Herzog's Paint and Design Center also provides color samples from Benjamin Moore paints, including the eco-friendly Aura line. Color decorating consultants and expert interior designers are there for you, ready to assist you in choosing the right colors. Visit Herzog's in the Kingston Plaza.
Okay, we're back.
Thanks, Lawrence. Welcome back, listeners. I'm Fred Costello from the town of Saugerties, and Lawrence is my co-host this morning. We've reached out to a couple of
yeah, I'm sure Greg Chorvis will be back next week, because next week we have our first Happy Christmas Fund meeting at Sawyer Motors, so I know Greg will be there for that.
Yeah, he'll be there for that. I actually think he comes back Saturday.
Does he?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good.
He timed it pretty well. He avoided the ice storm.
Yeah, no, he got it. I hope that his house was okay through that. I'm sure.
Yeah, ironically,
did someone go up and check on it for him?
Yeah, he has people looking at it all the time. And Jen, one of the folks, is on vacation with him. Her house suffered as part of the outage that happened yesterday. Yesterday, actually, there was
that wind, what was that, Monday night?
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
That was ridiculous.
Yep.
You know, these out here in the parking lot, there's those no parking signs, and if you notice, they're like in the middle of the parking lot. I'm watching the thing to see if it blinks for Bill. They're made with concrete, so they stand up. They were tumbling. They're out by Lucas Avenue. They're by the street. It says no parking, tow-away zone or whatever.
Yep.
They're plopped out of the thing, but they're like concrete balls. They're pretty heavy. If you try picking one up, I mean,
they were rolling around.
The wind was so strong that it blew it back almost by where Katie Dwyer's door is.
Holy cow!
That's like almost, that's like 150, a football field and a half. I was like, what the heck is this thing doing back here? And then I looked at the parking lot. I could see the little concrete, chunks where it was rolling. I was like, God, that's some powerful stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of
so
wild.
Now I know after those winds on Monday night that antenna on the roof, because I was worried. I was like, God, because those must have been 50, 60 mile an hour winds.
Those gusts were strong.
I mean, the windows in my apartment were shaking.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was unsettling.
Like some real Wizard of Oz stuff.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was scary.
It was. All right, so we got a couple of
go ahead and get those
housekeeping we should do.
You can do the KCR one if you want first.
Where's that one?
Actually, we've been reading that one all week. Don't worry about that.
All right, so I'm going to start with pancake breakfast at Panaki's.
That's the Pikaki one? Okay.
Pikaki, yep, the Congregational Church. Charlie Lawrence is the contact for this one. His is bikesdeathvalley@gmail.com if you're looking for information. They announced that they're going to do the Congregational Church breakfast on Saturday, March 12th. Enjoy a delicious all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast this Saturday, March 12th at the Pikaki Congregational Church in Kingston. And yes, they're holding down the price. Breakfast is still just $10, and yes, all you can eat. That's all you can eat pancakes, sausages, and scrambled eggs with a hot, fresh coffee or tea and juice. Come meet up with old friends and make some new friends while you enjoy a hearty and tasty breakfast. It'll be served from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m. That's Saturday, March 12th at the Pikaki Congregational Church, located on Bruin Street at the Delaware Avenue in Kingston. So good to see them back in action. They haven't done anything like that in a while. I remember reading in one of their
March
events.
March 12th? So that's
Saturday. Yeah. Middle of March. How's that possible?
Yeah.
Time's going by quick.
Yeah, it is. I know. It does just feel like it was Christmas.
Yeah, it does. So we have Coach House Players, the longest operating community theater group in Ulster County, is proud to present Drinking Habits by Tom Smith and directed by Barbara Melzer. The show will be held on April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and it'll also be held the next weekend on the 8th, 9th, and 10th. It will be at the Coach House Players on 12 Augusta Street in Kingston, New York. For more information, you could call 845-331-2476. Tickets for general admission are $20, $18 for seniors 62 and over, $10 for youth 18 and under. There's more information available at www.coachhouseplayers.org. Drinking Habits is presented by a special arrangement with Play Scripts Inc., New York. So they always do a great job, and it's nice to see them all back in action. We have another. Kingston is making an announcement for their spring cleanup. Hello, Kingston clean sweepers and potential clean sweepers. Think spring. It has been a long, cold winter, and now it's time to get ready to clean our beautiful city. The Friends of Historic Kingston and the City of Kingston will be having their annual Clean Sweep Spring event. So it's time to get your brooms and rakes ready and star the date on your calendar. The 13th annual Kingston Clean Sweep will be held on Saturday, May 7th, from 2022, from 9 a.m. to noon. We sincerely hope you will join us, as many of you have done in the past. However, we are also reaching out to new groups so that you can join in our efforts to clean our community and show our pride. Mayor Steve Noble has pledged the support of the City of Kingston to collect the filled bags immediately following the event. Please respond to this email and let me know if your organization or group plan to oversee this same sweep territory that you did in the past. New groups will be assigned an area where we are flexible. So that's a good effort. Sorgers will be doing a similar program every weekend during Earth Day. We will allow folks to come, sign up, collect bags. When you collect a bag, you describe the street or part of the neighborhood you intend to clean, and our transfer station staff will come by the following week and pick it up. So we get a nice response for that. And it's a great opportunity. Every neighborhood has that one spot where things either blow to or folks use as a trash can, and there's a way to get rid of some of that unsightly debris.
Kingston actually gets a huge. The Lions Club participates. So does Kiwanis. So does Rotary. There's a lot of people that participated in that.
And for folks who have never done it, it's a really nice way to celebrate a community, get a really nice sense of pride. And
I think a few years ago they started making up T-shirts too. They do Pat Murphy started it years back, and then Anna Brett is now running it, and she's doing a great job with it. But a lot of people in Kingston come out for that. I know with the Kingston Lions Club, we do Schwank Drive from the plaza. We do Frog Alley, then up Schwank, and then down to the railroad tracks on Washington Avenue.
Washington?
Yeah, and I think this is Bill. Hang on.
Yeah, those efforts really make a difference. And the areas like Lawrence just described are high traffic, and there's always some kind of litter. Okay, there's always some kind of litter falling out of a car. So,
go ahead, Evelyn. You're on the air.
Okay, I'd like to make an announcement.
Sure. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, Mr.
I can't hear you. Just barely. But I want to make an announcement for St. Mary of the Snow on March 27th. Chief Joe Stenogra and Father Chris are having a dinner. It's a takeout, and it's going to be spaghetti and meatballs, and it's going to be Father's very, very special sauce that he makes for it. It's going to be eggplant parmesan, and it's going to be, the price for that is $15, and if anybody is interested and would like to go, it's for a good cause, it helps to support the church and everything there. And again, it's going to be on the 27th of March, and it's a takeout, and it's in the afternoon, and if you're interested in going to it, just contact the office. I'm sorry, I don't have the number for that right now. But again, I hope people will go to it, and I feel you'll all enjoy it too. So,
agreed.
Take care and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Rogersdorf. Yep, and Chief, as well as Father Chris, when they get together, they're both very good cooks. They're both foodies. So they've done a Chief and Chaplain's dinner prior to COVID. I think they had 4 or 5 in a row. So I'm sure the quality of food will be excellent, and hopefully next year we can get back to doing it in person. But
yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, they do a good job, and they make it really fun. They get some pretty special volunteers to help out with that one as well. So that's a good program.
Yeah.
And I know if someone's listening, Sauger's Fire Department's doing Brooks Barbecue. I believe it's next week. And I think there's still tickets available for that. Yep. So lot of stuff happening. It feels
Fred,
good
is there
to
a
have-
birthday in there this week? We haven't had a birthday since Friday.
What?
Yeah, man.
Let's see.
That's what I said. I didn't look. My mom oh, there is one.
There is a birthday in here.
Yeah. I just, you could text Kevin and tell him to come in early if you want. When I realized that he's only leaving 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
That's all he is. He's coming in at 8 o'clock and leaving at 8:45.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be okay. Yeah, we do have a birthday, but we'll save that for just
you
after.
can save it for 10 minutes or so. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can just do it. And,
Okay.
Oh,
So
wait,
we
we got another call. Hang on.
All right, good.
Hey, George, it's good to hear from you.
Okay.
Listen, hang on 1 second. Here, I gotta take this call real quick, and then I'm gonna put him on the air.
Okay. All right. So Lawrence is going to connect us with someone who just called in. We have depending where you live in Ulster County, there's a number of community choice aggregated programs that could help you with your energy bill. For communities that host those programs, you can enter those programs every billing cycle, or you could leave them every billing cycle. So the community center, the town hall, or the village office will know if your community is a participant, and they can guide you to the administrators and help you get signed up if you want to. Right now, those contractual rates certainly are an improvement over the market rate that Central Hudson is able to afford us right now. So if you're in one of those communities, explore your options. You can also go into the energy market and secure your own contract. My understanding right now is, though, if you were to get an energy contract that would reflect the current market rates, so you would not be necessarily insulating yourself from some further fluctuations. But if there's an existing program that you could go into that was established before the major energy fluctuations, you may be able to save a little bit of money, at least on the energy side of your bill. All right. Good morning, George. I think you're on the air with us.
Good morning, everybody. I was listening to you discussing on the energy thing and stuff this morning earlier that you had, and part of the problem is Central Hudson wanted to bring a gas pipeline in from Pennsylvania for the natural gas, and they was told no. And now you have the nuclear plant down by Peekskill that closed down. And Central Hudson does not have the ability to put out a long-term bid on prices of electric because the state would not allow them to.
Yep.
And the state ties their hands pretty good on what they can do and what they can't do.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
And that's part of the problem they have. And as far as when Fortis took over, downsizing the company and everything, actually the amount of employees went up to where a little while before Fortis, they had about 950 employees down there, and after Fortis, they got 1,100. And the size of their crews, the line crew and everything that does all the work out there during the storms, that have not changed in almost 20 years, to where they have not been downsized at all. And they're out there, and they had contingency plans set up for crews to come in that Friday on the ice storm, but the early forecast was only for about a quarter of an inch of ice. And then we ended up getting a half inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice all over the place.
And we were the bullseye of that event. Our listening area, more or less, was where all that ice formed. Slightly north of us got snow, and slightly south of us got rain. So, this kind of swath of Ulster County is where was the hardest hit.
Right. This is where we really got hurt and stuff. But if you take a look at what happened, none of the lines actually failed with the ice that was on them. It was all the tree limbs that came down that was taking out lines all over the entire county. It was the trees that was coming down, hitting the lines, snapping the poles and stuff. And that is what basically caused the problem, because those lines could hold at least an inch of ice and now an inch and a half of ice before they give way. And because I know somebody that works for Central Hudson and stuff and knows the line capacity, and they said Hey, it wasn't their lines that failed. It was all the trees that came down. And I had to drive out to Rifton that Sunday morning and seeing the disaster out on 213 alone. And that was just a small area where the trees was glistening with all the ice we had. And for them to get as many people back on and basically rebuild complete systems to get the people back on, Central Hudson did a great job. And they had well over 700 people and crews coming in from all over the place to help out Ulster County during that storm.
Yeah, it was really a monumental task to bring all those folks in and coordinate them and get power on as quickly as they did. And I know that's painful to hear for the folks who were out for, more than 48 hours, but it wasn't because of a lack of effort. They really, once those crews got here, they worked as long as they needed to make the repairs that were needed. And I had, in Saugerties, there's a private water system that operates basically on a 2-day supply of water, and the pumping station was without power for about 2 days. So we were all very concerned that community might run out of water, and we were in the midst of connecting a generator to resupply the tank. And the Central Hudson foreman for the line crew stopped in, and he knew what we were up to. And he's like, listen, I wouldn't say this if I didn't think it was true, but I'm going to have you guys up in about an hour. And we waited on him, and he was able to do it. So he got, he helped us make sure that those residents did not run out of water. That would have been insult to injury after they had been without power for a little over 2 days at that point. So they were, I was grateful for the folks on the ground. They did a great job.
Yes, they did. And like I said, they was going by the weather. They was talking up to a quarter of an inch of ice, and then that thing just parked itself over top of us in Ulster County here, and it just slammed everybody, and they got far more ice than what they anticipated and stuff. They knew the storm was coming.
Yeah.
But they had no idea the amount of ice we was going to get. But yeah, they still have plans already underway in case they needed it. They had crews coming in for as far away as Indiana and stuff.
Yeah, so amazing. We're still cleaning up from it, George. We have we partnered with the RRA, and we created depots for people to drop off yard waste because so many people had lost trees in their yard. And the RRA came in with their tub grinder, and they're working closely with our highway department. Superintendent Mayon coordinated that, and we're grinding up that yard waste into mulch as we speak. They made a lot of progress in J.C. Field. That's an area in Berkeley Heights which is heavily populated, and that was a mountain of broken branches and tree limbs. And by the end of this morning, it should be just a nice pile of fresh mulch. And it struck me yesterday when I was in the wooded area, when you look out over the tree canopy, you can see, there's the gray colored bark and then all this blonde broken branches that are still scarring the horizon.
Oh yeah, and the town of Esopus highway department and the town officials said, hey, anybody that had branches that was coming down and everything, just pull them out to the front of their yard near the road, but not on the road. And they came by with the chipper.
Yep.
And they cleaned up everything from all the properties in the town of Esopus and stuff too. So our people did a great job.
Yeah. Still going on though. We're not caught up quite yet.
Oh no, because you look out as you drive down like 32 towards Newburgh, look off into the red woods and stuff. You can see how many trees and everything else is still down.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
It was a storm that hopefully we get once in the blue moon. But the other thing too is we've got to think about, I know clean energy is important, but what they have to start thinking about is let's come up with a reasonable plan to start the switch off from fossil fuels. You just cannot do it overnight. And right now with what's going on in Europe and stuff, we need to give the oil companies incentives to drill so we can become self-sufficient, so we are never in this position again. But hey, we do need a straightforward, legitimate plan instead of talk on how to go from fossil fuels to green energy, because what are you going to do with all the millions and millions of vehicles out there that are gas-powered once we switch to electric vehicles? And where are all those electric vehicles and the cost, especially to the families that have to have two vehicles just to get to work and survive and support their families? None of that is in a plan yet, and yet you also got to be able to have charging stations for all those vehicles, either on the houses or in other places. And you still got to be able to create the energy to do all of this.
Yep.
And we need a definitely plan, not just talk coming from the different people. We need our government people to sit down, get together, both sides, and come up with a workable plan that would help and benefit every single person in this country.
Yeah. My observation is it's going to be a basket of change and a basket of improvement. You know, obviously solar is going to play a role, wind will play a role, and other renewable opportunities will play a role. Conservation will play a significant role. But there's a lot of moving parts, and we are headed in that direction. I know in Saugerties, again, we are part of a community solar program, and 80% of the town's energy is derived from renewable sources now. And we earn, the company we partnered with earns a tax credit for for making that energy, and then they pay our bill with that credit, and then they charge us 90 cents for the use of that dollar. And that program is working beautifully. I'm very proud that we're able to do that, to build the solar field that supports that program, and it's working well. I know in Esopus you guys have some community solar projects as well, and there's a basket of choices that we didn't have as little as 5 years ago, and I imagine 10 years from now we'll have even larger basket of choices. And the reliance on fossil fuels is it has implications. There's bad actors all over the world.
Right.
The guy that runs Venezuela is not a friend of democracy. Clearly, Vladimir Putin is not a friend of democracy.
And Iran.
Iran, and unfortunately Saudi Arabia. And
right.
we don't want to be dependent on folks like that. They do not have our interest in mind.
And people may have to think about the nuclear option too. That's all clean energy. And you just need it to be managed in a way where you don't have the accidents or whatever, or there have to be reliable people monitoring those places. But it's something that all have to be considered, because you just can't get rid of like Indian Point. And they started building a shore down by the city on Long Island. That was stopped years and years ago. And they talked a couple of weeks ago. They was talking about the coal not being that expensive, but Central Hudson have not had coal burning plants in how many years, and they also had to close Dam Scammer. When you reduce the amount of options of producing the power, then you got to get it from one source, and that's when also the price of everything goes up, because the demand for those people goes up.
That was my point earlier in the show. Central Hudson does no longer, as a result of deregulation, they do not generate their own power anymore. They only distribute power. So as consumers, we have choice. We can go into the energy market and secure our own contract. We can rely on Central Hudson to be our agent and get whatever price or benefit we are comfortable with from them, or we can join into a community project like a CCA program or community solar project. So we do have choice. I vary on where we buy our energy and how that energy is produced. If you go into the energy markets, it's not necessarily, if it's not a priority for you to make renewables, you can go buy dirty energy and get a contract for that. But the renewable contracts are competitive, and to the degree that that incentivizes it and creates more production of renewable energy, I think that's a healthy long-term goal that we all should try to pursue.
Right, and how about that line that they want us to shoot down the center of the Hudson River? and they want tax pilots for it.
Which one is this?
That's the electric line is supposed to be coming from up around the Canadian border that they want to shoot all the way down to New York City, bury it 7 foot deep in the Hudson River. They talk about digging a trench because one of our county legislators put out something on it where they want a tax pilot from the different communities and stuff, and it's supposed to help support New York City.
Geez, I'm not very familiar with that one, but there have been proposals like that in the past, and it's a tremendous undertaking to do that. Our energy grid is old, though. You know, I know Central Hudson's in the process of replacing the distribution line that connects Catskill and Kingston, and that legacy infrastructure is 80 plus years old. So, you know, it's long past its prescribed life, and it was a 2-year process for them to seek the approvals to replace it. So it's a significant undertaking. It takes a lot of long-term planning, and unfortunately, sometimes there's not the financial incentives that will support the planning taking that long. But you know, there's a lot to it. You know, you're going through sometimes. This particular line is going through the Grave Lie, which is a very sensitive environmental area, and there has to be some thoughtfulness and carefulness about how they do that again. When they decommission the old line and replace it with the new, there's going to be quite a bit of construction activity, and you certainly don't want to create a larger footprint in that habitat than you need to. Just as Sorges, there's a significant stone house area that has been underrepresented, and the view shed of that, it's very important that they don't compromise it. It looks through that process that the new monopole with the power connected to it will actually have less of a visual impact than the traditional lattice structure. So there's some good things happening.
Yes. But no, I know you guys coming up on your 8 o'clock break, and we got to announce our birthday winners. So thank you very much. Hey, you guys have a great day. And Fred, it's always a pleasure talking to you and everything else. And I'll be glad, and you'll be glad when you get your full crew back from vacation.
Yes, we will. Yeah, we will. George, appreciate you calling in. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Have a great day.
All right.
All right, go to break?
We can go to break.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be back in a few, folks.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drugfacts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
That's a nice phrase.
Okay, we're back. Good morning, listeners. I'm Fred Costello from the town of Sorties, and we are joined by our Assemblyman Kevin Cahill. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. How are you today?
Doing great. Doing great.
Hello, Fred. Hello, Mr. Costello. Hello, Supervisor.
Yeah,
Talk to all three of you here.
Today. Yeah.
I wish I was here with your daughter. She was fantastic on the radio.
She is. She was really good. She was like a natural.
Really, it was amazing.
I know, and I was like, who is this young girl you brought? That was my daughter. I was like, all right.
So at ease. So poised.
And she was a natural. She did a really good job.
She loved it, and I wanted to get her for this morning, but she's got school now, and it's,
Oh, she's back at school already.
Yeah, they're back at school, yep. So we had that little opportunity there, and we took advantage of it. I'm really glad. She loved it, so.
Maybe in the summer we can use her.
We can do her in the summer, yeah, for sure, because she was, she really enjoyed it. She would really like doing the show with Kevin, I'm sure, and it was really a moment of pride for me as a dad.
I think you could give her own show.
They're probably going to put me out of work, but.
Hey, that's what you know what they say baby's first words are, right?
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So, that's the truth.
Yeah.
So, which would be great.
But, so I heard you talking with George about Central Hudson and a few other issues that were on his mind and a lot of people's minds. Honestly, it's what all the calls to our office are about these days. You know, it's unemployment issues have subsided somewhat, and Central Hudson issues have risen right to the top. I mean, seriously to the top. And I know, you know, and believe me, I join in his praise for the people out there on the front line during that storm. I talked to them. I was out and about, and I didn't. Who wanted to be out in that schmutz, right? It was pretty bad. And
it was cold and slippery.
Yeah,
and damp
and scary.
Yeah,
you know,
kind of scary.
Yeah, you had lines down, you had traffic lights out, you had trucks parked in the middle of the road, you had slippery surfaces. It was not a good scene.
No, it was easy.
And then people in their homes without heat, sometimes worried about their sump pump, worried about refrigeration, worried about you name it. You know, some people. I have one brother didn't have water. You know, his water needs a pump, and without that, there's no water.
No, we take for granted the conveniences we enjoy on a daily basis, and that's reinforced when you don't have them. Right. You know, we take for granted that the house is warm or cool. Take advantage. You walk over to the faucet and water comes out, and it's hot, and it's just pretty incredible the amount of luxury that we've come to take for granted.
And I looked, you know, I witnessed the storm in part from my home, and I looked out the window the first day, and people were milling about trying to figure out what to do without electricity, and as the ice and rain was still coming down. But as the weekend wore on and it didn't seem like power was coming back anytime soon, pretty soon the neighborhood started to desert itself, and many of my neighbors just packed up and left and went to points elsewhere, probably stay with relatives. I think my one neighbor said she went to visit relatives in Catskills. Somebody else went to their mom's house. People were all over the place. Some people went back to Brooklyn. That really emptied out the neighborhood. No, I'm just kidding. So it was dislocating in many respects. And while I have a great deal of respect for the people that were doing the job, there's a lot of questions to be answered. In particular, the number one question that we have is, when did Central Hudson seek mutual aid? If they had sought mutual aid sooner, would they have been able to mitigate the storm sooner and relieve literally thousands, tens of thousands of people of that dislocation. The other question is, has Central Hudson changed its staffing so much since Fortis took over, since this international conglomerate took over? Have they changed their staffing so much that things like the tree trimming program are not being done appropriately? You hire a contractor, they come in, and you've seen them, they come in their trucks with their Alabama plates, New Hampshire plates, whatever, and they come in and they slice and dice the trees. They have no sense of aesthetics, but also sometimes wondering whether...
They go through it looks like a storm had just passed.
Yeah, and also sometimes they don't do it appropriately, and we have to wonder whether that was also a subject of the length and the seriousness of the disaster. So what we did was, certainly we pitched in when the storm was happening, but simultaneously we took notes and we joined with the Public Utility Law Project, and we asked the Public Service Commission to look into the storm response. And there's a couple reasons it matters. When Central Hudson goes for the next rate, part of their rate recovery will be to cover the cost of the storm to the extent that it was not their fault. So to the extent that it was...
We need answers to those questions.
We need answers to those questions, because if people think their bill went up now, it's going to go up even more when Central Hudson says, this is why. If the Public Service Commission grants them a rate increase for the storm over a course of years, that means we're all going to be paying for it. And maybe we're going to be paying for costs that could have been avoided if the shareholders didn't make as much money. So isn't that a shift directly from our pockets to the shareholders' pockets?
Yes.
And that's one of the questions we have to ask. Listen, I'm not necessarily opposed to private ownership of our utilities. I'm not wholly in support of it either, but I'm not entirely opposed. But it's what exists in New York State. We have privately owned utilities. And in most cases, they're owned by publicly traded shareholder-owned companies. And in almost every case, with the exception of Consolidated Edison, they're owned by somebody in another country. So we have to ask those questions. Are you still exhibiting the same sense of community responsibility that you did when you were a native New York company? And those are some of the questions we'll be asking. We're going to ask why, when there were just a minor number of outages in the surrounding communities, why were there over 50,000 outages here in Ulster County? We're going to be asking, why did the emergency ice and water, which Central Hudson, and they'll be on tomorrow and they'll talk about what good neighbors they were to do that, but that's part of what they're responsible to do. Why did it run out? And why did it run out as frequently as it did, and was it properly distributed? And then we also asked the Public Service Commission to look into these really anomalous billing issues, these phantom bills that people are getting, whether it's someone who hasn't received an actual bill, they've received estimated bills or no bill at all for 6 months, to people that received enormous bills for a single month that were not relevant to the amount of electricity that they used and was purporting to not be an estimate. We asked PSC to look into that. They're not looking at that in the case that they did agree to, but they did agree last Friday to look at all the other issues that we asked them to look at. So
they're not looking at the billing?
They have not made that the subject of the investigation, but we are continuing to ask, and what we've asked people to do is to register in the Public Service Commission portal, and even though it is not a subject of the investigation, if they wish to have it looked at, make sure you tell the Public Service Commission that you are interested. And if you don't know how to get onto the portal, it's pretty easy. But if you really can't figure it out for yourself, just give us a call at the office at 338-9610, and we'll help you, and we'll also direct you to how you get your view, your complaint, your issues, or your compliments heard. And I think it's just as important. I know George was speaking very highly of a lot of things, and you know what? It's important for those people to be heard as well. We want to balance. We're not looking to crucify anyone. We're not looking to take anybody out. What we're looking to do is to get to the truth. And if someone's view is that everything was peachy keen, then they should say that, because that's appropriate.
So during any crisis or event, you muster whatever response is available and reflecting the resources that were available to you at that time, which is amazing and is great, and overwhelmingly people have done a great job with that. However, the post-event meetings is really where you learn stuff.
Yeah.
And, that ice storm was certainly a significant event, especially for the folks in our area. And we will learn a lot through the process that you just described in the post-event, and looking back, and hopefully the accumulation of that data and information will make us better prepared for the next event, which inevitably, unfortunately, will come.
And by the way, this is not the first time that our office has teamed up with other organizations, both community-based and statewide, to do investigations into utilities. We did it after Sandy. We did it after Irene and Lee. And it's the appropriate thing to do. It is how we learn for the future. It is how the Public Service Commission, the regulator, is informed as to what is and is not appropriate for the utility. It's how the utility learns what their public responsibility is. So there's nothing personal here. It's no sense of animosity toward anyone. But frankly, when I was driving around and when I was talking to my neighbors, and when our phones were not available in our district office to take emergency calls from people, and people generally tend to call during emergencies, there were a lot of ticked off people.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And now facing higher energy prices, you were successful with your CCA and you were able to lock into a price. I think that's another question we have to ask. What causes our particular natural gas and electricity prices to go up with Central Hudson? It's all well and good, and you'll hear it tomorrow, for Central Hudson to say, oh, we don't mark it up, we just pass it through. But they still buy it for us in the most part. And how are they buying it for us? Are they buying it for us in a way that protects the market, or are they buying it for us in a way that just almost guarantees we're going to be paying the highest price?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. There's, troubles me, and I didn't realize the depth of this until we did the CCA program. Amongst the public, and I'll count myself in that, there's just a lack of understanding about how the deregulation was designed to help us, and the choice and the opportunity that it created for us as energy consumers. And we haven't really taken advantage of that to the full extent. The high energy users are in tune to it, where they could save thousands of dollars in a year. They did it. But for the average folks with maybe one electric meter, we really didn't engage in the process and reap the benefit.
It's interesting at the rate hearings, because I've been through several, including one in City Hall one time, Kingston City Hall, where the utility will come in and they will testify, or they'll be heard at their point in time during the comment period, and they will talk about having to recover this, that, and the other thing, and that this is absolutely what they must charge. And then you start to see that they have a different contract with big users. And it's not just the economies of scale, it's what they're doing to partner with those big users for whatever reasons they determine. Sometimes they determine that's what they want to do for economic development purposes. I don't know if anybody appointed them or economic development czars, and that they say that, that some senior citizens should be subsidizing some big corporation, but that's what they decide. In other instances, they decide to do it because they don't want to lose that customer to self-generation or some other means. But the fact of the matter is that it's a vastly different number that their big users are paying over the small users, and it's not regulated. It's done by contract. So it's a very complex web of regulation that's involved with the distribution and transmission of electricity. And here's the last point that I'll make on this one vis-a-vis Central Hudson, Fortis Central Hudson. They're not the providers of electricity. They are the deliverers of electricity. They're not the providers of natural gas. They are the deliverers of natural gas. That is their one and only job. In fact, I argued at the last hearing that their only job is reliability. That's the only regulatable aspect of what they do, is reliability.
That's fair.
Price is going to be determined based upon a bunch of external metrics. Mm-hmm. But reliability is the thing that they're in the business for. And when reliability fails, that means they have not done their job for whatever reason, even if it's an external source, a natural disaster or man-made disaster. But it means that they have not done what they are supposed to be doing. There may be a reason. There may be an excuse, there may be a justification, but they haven't done what they're supposed to do, and that's why we should call them out and have an opportunity to have a full airing of it. Just on a few other points, George mentioned that
we leave that one. Let me just add one more thing. When we did the CCA program and there was the migration of folks into it, one of the calls that surprised me that I fielded dozens and dozens of times was that, well, we accept that the price is a good one, but we want the Central Hudson, the security, to know that they're going to come and fix the wire. I'm like, they will come and fix the wire regardless. They are the distributor.
That's what they do.
It doesn't matter where that power comes from. Right. They don't care.
Right.
They will be there in a storm. They will be there. They will perform their primary function. That's what they do. That energy can come from any contract, any place, anytime.
Well, an electron doesn't have an identification to it, it just follows what they call the path of least resistance. Not to get too all sciencey here, because I'm not good at it, but that's how electricity flows. By the way, it's not much different for natural gas. Natural gas enters giant pipelines and it follows wherever it gets released.
Yep.
And so energy is the same way. What you're buying, you're not buying an electron. You're not buying a specific electricity when you enter your contract. You're buying the rights to it. Mm-hmm. And when you buy it, then that person or that entity goes out and buys it from someone else, and the power producer puts it online. And when they put it online, we get it at the other end. There's so many things we could do to improve the system, and George was talking about how we really ought to bang heads and sit down and come up with an energy plan. That's what I said about 15 years ago when I came up with the New York energy planning process, and we have an energy planning board. Doesn't mean they're doing their job. They were delayed in offering their initial report by several years, and quite frankly, when I was a member of the board, it seemed to me like they were moving their meetings around to avoid legislative input. And they would schedule them at times that were coinciding with legislative sessions to make sure that it was most difficult for us to attend. And then they would delay and delay. They'd schedule and then delay. But we have a process in place, and there are criteria that process has to follow. One of the criteria is, as he said, to make sure that we have a diversified energy system. And that diversification doesn't mean that we have to have coal, because coal may not be good for the environment. It may not be good for anybody. It may not even actually, at the end of the day, be a cost-effective means of generating electricity. It doesn't mean we have to have natural gas. What it does mean is if we identify that we're overly reliant on one source of energy, like natural gas, that we better look for others. And that's one of the things the energy planning process says. And it also says to favor renewables, to favor clean energy, and also to factor in, for the very first time, I always say this, the one and only benign source of energy, and that's conservation, to not use it in the first place. And so that's all supposed to be factored into the process. That plan is not static. There's no document out there that says, okay, here's the New York State Energy Plan.
It could never anyway. Technology changes. If the plan represents what happened 10 years ago, it would be outdated.
Right. So when we wrote the law, we wrote it so that it was dynamic, so that it was ever-changing, and that there was no need to say, oh, so now this is what we must do. Instead, it projects, it plans for the future, it anticipates when the cost of energy might go up, go down, when the supply might go up, go down. It recognizes congestion and constriction areas in transmission and distribution. It talks about the problems that exist in some parts of the state versus others. It talks about the age of plants. I'm hearing colleagues were telling me that they took a tour of the power plant at Niagara Falls. That's owned by the Power Authority of the state of New York. And that the foundation, the piers that the generators are on, are crumbling.
They're 100 years old, though, right?
No, they're not. They're not 100, Fred, because that would mean I was 100. They are only 65 years old, but they've been replaced, and they are regularly replaced. We have a contract apparently with the nation of Canada that says that we can't generate our electricity as much as we want during the day because it ruins the aesthetics of Niagara Falls. So most of the power is generated at night. There's a lot of things we can look at, and hydropower is probably, of all the renewables, the one that has the greatest potential for large-scale power. And, we all know about the Cantine paper mill and now diamond mills, but there was a generator that existed right there at the little bit of a falls and the dam that exists there. That is representative of over 2,500 megawatts of what they call low-head hydro that is sitting dormant across New York State. When industries close down their generator plants, they just poured cement into the turbines.
Ruined them.
And so they stop working. Yeah. And, there are environmental issues associated with that, but there's also the opportunity to produce power if we just go on a concerted effort to go around the state and look to reclaim that. 2,500 megawatts is twice what Indian Point was producing right at the time that it closed. George talked about nuclear power. Let's talk about that for a minute. Nuclear power is not clean. That's a myth. Nuclear power is dangerous in many ways to the environment, not the least of which is that it uses radioactive material that then results in radioactive effluent entering into the Hudson River. It's not that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is going to stop it from going into the river. They're going to tell them how much they can send into the river, and then they're going to measure it at a certain point. Not necessarily at the source. They're going to measure it at a point, say how much came out here. That's radioactive waste that's going into the Hudson River. The bigger problem with nuclear power, the more immediate problem, is the thermal pollution that exists from them. They generate a tremendous amount of heat, which is why you often see a nuclear power plant near water. And the cooling system puts that heat into the surrounding bodies of water. That causes other problems. We've had the problems with, you have it up in Saugerties a little bit with with a number of different aquatic issues. Some of that comes from the temperature rise. It does. And so it's not a benign source. And then the biggest problem environmentally with nuclear power is, what do we do with the waste? We have no idea what to do with the waste anywhere. It is just piling up all across the country. So it's not a benign source. Solar exists, but if you live next door to a solar farm, you might not be too happy about the aesthetics. If you live next to a factory that's producing solar panels, you might not be too happy about the effluent coming off the production of those panels. If you live next to the factory that's producing the gigawatt batteries to move that power around during the day, you might be concerned about some of the heavy metals that are used in the creation of batteries. Wind. Wind works best where the wind blows most, and guess who else likes where the wind blows most? Birds. Yeah. They go in the thermals, and that's where the wind works best. So when we put a windmill up, chances are it's going to go into a place where a bird wants to go. Now people say, "Oh, so what? A couple of birds, It changes the ecology of our area, and also the aesthetics. So there is no means by which we can generate power that doesn't have an impact on us, and that includes the renewables. But there is one thing we can all do, and that is to cut back a little bit. When we had our power out for 3 days, a lot of people dragged out that second sweater. When the power came back on, they couldn't wait to get more tropical. So, I'm not saying everybody should wear 2 sweaters, although there are times in the winter when I do. But there's also a good opportunity maybe in the springtime to go around your house and find out which doors and windows are leaking a little bit. It's a good time to figure out whether that window is the one where you should put an insulated curtain. That will change the way it heats in the summer and cools in the winter. And I didn't make that backwards, because windows sometimes can overheat your house in the summer, and they can cause too much energy to leak out during the winter time. So there's a lot of things we can do there. A really important thing that a lot of people don't think about, even if you use natural gas, even if you use oil, if your burner on your heater is 10, 12, 15 years old, doesn't sound like much. Most of us have a heating system that is at least that old, if not significantly older. There's a very good chance it's not as efficient as it could be. So not only are you wasting energy and causing pollution, you are also spending money you don't have to spend. So there's lots to do, and we're hoping to continue to encourage people to think along those lines. And I spent a lot of time talking to the energy chair of the assembly. I was energy chair for 4 years, and he's racking his brain to try to think of new ways to help people, and we're going to get to it.
conserving is something, people, it creates an impression sometimes that it comes with sacrifice, but in many cases it does not. For example, we're going to do another victory lap. We secured a grant to replace the chiller at our ice rink. And when we put our current chiller in, it was kind of state of the art, and it was a huge leap forward in energy efficiency versus the original chiller that was part of that facility. But now that's reaching the end of its prescribed life, and we are using an air-cooled chiller to replace that with. So we're going to save thousands of dollars in energy costs plus treatment costs because we don't have to maintain the cooling system that we.
Is it more stable too?
Yeah. It's just better all the way around, and there won't be. If anything, the ice will be harder because this equipment runs more efficiently, and we've insulated the new building, so we have a much more control over the environment where it operates, and we will save tens of thousands of dollars with this chiller, which will repay the loan we're putting out to get it, and it's just going to be a win-win, and no one will come and be like, oh, things are different. Will just happen, and there will be the energy savings, the reduction in carbon footprint. And we've had a number of programs that were successful in that way. We've taken advantage of incentives by NYSERDA when we replace heating equipment to go to the next level for the energy efficiency. And many times there's money available to fill that gap. And, it takes a little bit of paperwork, but it's doable. And
I've noticed since the time I've lived in my house that the street lighting has changed. And the street lighting has changed in two ways. The first way that it's changed is parts of my street are much brighter than they used to be in the middle of the night. The other way it's changed is parts of my sky are darker than they used to be in the middle of the night. So the new street lights also don't leak light where you don't want it to be. Where I used to live, I fought street lights for years. We didn't have them because I liked the night sky. But now we have them, and occasionally it interferes with my outdoor movies, but that's okay. There are a lot of things that we can do, not just on the big system, but on the small system.
That was a huge cost-saving measure, and it was realized this year in our current budget. There was reductions in our lighting districts of 25% almost across the board because of the migration from the sodium vapor to the LED streetlights.
And in my house, it's the same thing, from incandescent bulbs to LED bulbs. One by one. Now I don't think I have a single incandescent bulb. Maybe there's one in my fridge. But
creating heat for the refrigerator.
The one that should be LED is not. It represents a really terrific cost savings. And the other aspect of it is it's not giving off heat that, when in the summertime I can sit and read at night and not worry about, having to have the air conditioner to counterbalance the light bulb. And if I do decide for security or other reasons, comfort, security, or, if somebody's coming to visit, to leave a light on in a room that's not occupied. I learned a lot from my grandmother. You never leave a light on when you walk out of a room.
That was my dad.
If I do, the difference is that light bulb is using in 20 hours less electricity than the light bulb it replaced used in 1.
And there's no sacrifice with that. It's just
it's convenient.
Technology has enabled us to do that. It's amazing.
So a couple of other points about the price of energy, and George was kind enough to call the office after I got off the air last time, and raised a couple of other issues. And he's not wrong that the taking of Indian Point offline did have an impact on energy prices. Anytime you take a commodity in a supply and demand market and you reduce the commodity and the demand stays the same, the price will rise. That's just the natural way of things. We could have, and we did to a very significant extent, replace the energy that was being used by Indian Point through a number of different measures, not just bringing it in from other places. We brought a third of it in from New Jersey. We opened up some pipelines, some power lines from upstate New York, although not enough. And we had some conservation measures, although also not enough. Overall, the number of watts coming into our system is relatively constant. the diverse sources of those watts is somewhat more limited in that we were very much reliant upon nuclear power here in the Hudson Valley. But that is not what's responsible for the spike, because at the end of the day, energy is paid for with what's called the market clearing price. And that means that whatever is the overall market, whatever the overall market is commanding, unless you hedged like you did, is what the price of energy is going to be. So even when Indian Point was generating power for 1 cent a kilowatt hour, they were selling it at the market clearing price, which was probably 8 cents, 9 cents, 10 cents, now 20 cents. That's what they would be selling it at today. The other issue he raised was fracking. There is no fracking ban in the United States of America. A significant percentage of our oil comes from fracked natural gas. It also comes from distant places. We don't frack in New York, and it's a good thing because our geography or geology wouldn't support it. Even in places where they thought the geology would support it, where they've been drilling for oil for years, places like Oklahoma, places like Texas, are seeing that fracking, which is a very, very invasive process, is resulting in some instability of the surface.
Yeah, causing earthquakes.
Causing earthquakes, that's right, yeah. So we have fracked gas. It's in our system. We're using it. I wish we weren't, but we are. We are using shale oil, which is another very invasive process to produce oil and natural gas that's oftentimes from Canada. We have pipelines that are serving us now. We have refineries that are serving us now. The concerns over, say, the Keystone pipeline or the fracking ban in New York, that's really in the future. That's not here and now, and that's why we need long-term energy planning processes. If we are not going to frack, if we are not going to use shale oil, if we are not going to transport oil and gas for 1,500 miles from the source to the place where it's being used, we better plan for it now. We better make those investments now. The other aspect of planning is to go after these transmission and distribution lines that haven't been replaced in 50 or 100 years and get them all replaced. We're losing 20% of our power. Well, I don't want to exaggerate, 18% of our power from leakage on our lines. That is power that's being produced in one place. 1/5 of it is, give or take, 1/5, 1/6 of it is being lost before we actually use it, but we still pay for it in the rate recovery process. So
you shared that statistic a month or so ago on the show, and it stuck with me. That's a lot, and that's a reflection on the grid is old. And there are bottlenecks as well, and you alluded to that a little bit.
Sure.
The western part of the state has surplus energy production, but we can't get it here, so to speak, because it can't get to our network.
One of the things that I was wishing, since Hudson-Champlain seems to be a reality, one of the things I was wishing is that because it's a direct current line, that is, there's no way for us to tap into it, because it just goes, it's like...
Just bypasses.
It's an extension cord. It's an extension cord that goes from Canada to New York City. And what I had proposed when they were coming to us, and I wasn't saying it would result in me supporting the project, what I had proposed is that the line terminate at Indian Point, and that at that point there be another transmission line to bring in the power from western New York into Indian Point, which is one of the congestion areas, below the congestion point, and that would provide power for the Hudson Valley. And
seems like a great idea.
Yeah, it would cost $100 million to build that converter facility there. That cost would be recovered.
Like a big number to you and I, but I don't think it's significant.
It would be recovered in a matter of single-digit years.
And it's a no-brainer.
Well, except that the laws of supply and demand dictate the investment in the market, and if you do something like that, you've changed the laws of supply and demand, and people don't want to. The people in the energy industry don't want you messing with it. So, and besides, the governor wasn't interested in it. The governor had his own plans. So
that's unfortunate, because that seems, for folks that have some knowledge of the energy distribution system here in the Hudson Valley, that bottleneck is at the front of every conversation, even with generators that are coming to the Hudson Valley. They're trying to be here to avoid that bottleneck, where theoretically they could be in the more central or western part of the state and build those facilities with less of an impact than here in a population center.
Some of those electrons spill out of the system because they're not being used from the western part of New York. The generator, to get a generating facility up and running sometimes takes some time, so they let it idle. And while it's sitting there idle, it's still producing electricity that no one is using. So it just kind of goes into the vapors. That we could use that energy. And there's a lot of other things we can do. There's a ton that we can do, but it does not have the immediate effect. And it seems that the only time the public is attuned to these issues
is when we're paying for it.
When we're paying for it,
Yeah.
right. So the moment we start to bring in some of these measures and it provides some level of relief, people are no longer interested in making the investment or having the inconvenience or having even the discussion. So we're going to try to keep it alive. And
Yeah, I hope it does, because we're every small community in the Hudson Valley is being courted by energy providers, whether it's a battery, whether it's a peaker plant of some capacity, or solar stations. There's a big effort to develop those. And when you talk to those folks, they get it. They know.
Right.
And, they're like, well, we could avoid all this if they would just open up the thing and we could get past Albany and they could get that power down here. And I'm like, well, if that's the problem, why doesn't someone just fix it?
It's not that simple.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that people should be reviewing their options all over again from scratch. If something didn't seem cost effective, if it didn't seem convenient when energy prices were negligible, maybe it makes more sense now that they are an important part of our budget.
Experiencing a spike, yeah.
It's worth people giving everything a second look. And by the way, there's programs that are out there. There's energy audit programs that are run through Central Hudson as required by the Public Service Commission. They can help you figure out some of the stuff too. One other point I wanted to make is I've had for several years legislation to bring back consumer aspects to energy regulation. The Public Service Commission, as I said, their primary function is to assure that our utilities reliably deliver the electricity and natural gas that they're responsible for delivering. There's very little else that they're responsible for. The Consumer Utility Board process that's used in other states like Illinois provides a means by which the public can just decide that they want to support, not even as a tax, just as a write-off on their electric bill. And we used to have it in New York State. You used to get a slip of paper every couple of months in your electric bill. Would you like to have a voice before the Public Service Commission, Consumer Utility Board, check off here, and you could give $1, $2, $5, whatever, and it was enough to keep it going. We also have another piece of, and we want to rejuvenate that. We have another piece of legislation that would revive the Utility Intervention Unit. It used to be in the Department of State. They could actually sue the Public Service Commission if they weren't acting in the public interest. And then a third piece of legislation would be to create a government office of consumer representation. So we're looking at all those options once more, and hoping now my colleagues are more interested than they have been in years past.
Yeah, I think the current spike, I know Senator Hinchy's office has been a tremendous resource to residents. I know your office has, but if that other mechanism existed as a reliable source, I think that would be helpful right now, because people have. It's cumbersome. I get exposed to energy stuff quite often, but it's cumbersome and it's confusing, and reading a bill is not as easy as you would think.
Right.
And having an understanding is a little bit of a challenge. So,
well, the community aggregation programs were things that we got started, and again, I've done this commercial before, largely due to the citizen action of then previous to her tenure as senator in the New York State Senate by Jen Metzger. She was very instrumental in that. So was a whole group of other people. So community aggregation came from that. There's several other things that we've been successful in doing, and one of the things that I've done every single year, it has been, I don't know how it wound up being my responsibility, but it is somehow, to make sure that the Public Utility Law Project is funded every year. We're very happy this year the governor put the funding in. We don't have to fight and scrap for it the way we've done in years past. But in years past we had to trade something to keep the Public Utility Law Project functioning, and they are so instrumental in rate hearings. They are so instrumental that if it wasn't for Richard Berkeley and Lori Wheelock and Ian Donaldson of Kingston works there, if it wasn't for those folks to take the raw material that we discussed with them and turn it into something that was fileable with the Public Service Commission, we probably wouldn't be here. It's money well spent. And
hats off to those folks, because it's it's a true academic exercise to take that just raw data that is overwhelming to look at and turn it into something tangible that can make a point. It's good for them.
And they've encouraged us, and we will continue to be a repository of concerns, complaints, and compliments to Central Hudson. We're not the place to go, but we are one of the places that will help you get it to where it has to be. So very happy about that opportunity.
And Central Hudson can be on tomorrow, so they can explain this better than certainly I can, but there was a change in billing system that has led to a lot of the challenges that consumers might be facing with their bills, and the migration of the data from the old system to the new system did not go as well as hoped. I think that's an understatement, but
and I think that would have been an understandable glitch if it had been a month or two. But this is still 6 months out, and we're still seeing the people having those experiences. And the question is why. Again, that's something we believe that the Public Service Commission should review. They have not chosen to review it in this review, but we're going to stay on them. And as I said, if you think that if that's one of your issues, then make sure you get your comments before the PSC.
Yeah, and I think it has to be an issue. I spoke with a resident Monday who didn't get a bill for a period of time and got a large bill because they expected that. And then the estimated bill came in reflecting the payment that was in the bill the prior month. And what do we do? Like, you have to call, and I would, figure out what's an acceptable payment to make.
We've been very successful
you owe that.
in the individual intervention on billing errors when we call Central Hudson. We have a good working relationship with them, and the fact that we're kind of taking them to court doesn't mean we don't like them.
No,
although there are aspects of them. I sat through one of the Public Service Commission hearings, and their public spokesperson, who I won't name, Anthony Bongiorno, just sat there and smirked and muffled and had muffled comments under his breath. He may be the person coming tomorrow, who knows? And I just stopped my testimony and I just stared at him until he decided to be a polite adult human being. That didn't seem fitting and appropriate that a representative of Central Hudson would act like that in a public hearing. And quite frankly, he hasn't repeated it, so that's a good thing that I know of. Maybe he did with other witnesses, but he didn't do it with me again. But by and large, we have a respectful approach. We make our case, we present the information that's been given to us by the public, and then Central Hudson presents their case and their other witnesses, and that's the end of it. So,
it's a significant undertaking. They have thousands and thousands of customers across their service area. That's a lot of bills, a lot of happening, and they got about 1,000 people to handle all of that. So
right. No, listen, it's a huge undertaking, and it's why it is so expensive. But I would challenge people once again to take a look at their bill and realize that even with the increased cost of energy, a significant portion of their bill, probably more than half, is for they're paying Central Hudson for the job of reliably delivering energy, more than they are paying for the actual energy. And so when they don't reliably deliver energy, they should be held accountable. That's why they're a regulated utility. We used to regulate a lot of other aspects of it, but that's kind of what's left. So, Fred, I apologize that I have to bug out.
We're going to miss you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
If only your daughter was here, your listeners would be riveted for the next.
Yes, that's right. But we'll do the best we can. So thank you, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about some energy, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. Are we ready to go to break?
You can do some break, sure.
All right, good, because the guy's actually here fixing the phone issue.
Oh,
so
great.
I don't want to disrupt the. All right, so we'll go to break, and we'll be back in a few, folks.
Okay.
Kevin, thank you. Have a great day, and breakfast was delicious. All right.
Listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the why for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the why, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the why. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Hi, my name is Jackie Levezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year.
Okay, we're back. Okay. How about now, Paul? Can you hear us?
I can hear it.
Does it sound okay? Fred, you talk because it's actually your mic that's actually the bad one.
It's a little bit weak.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, listeners.
Do you have a hard time hearing him, Paul? Because it's actually his mic that was having the problem.
Yeah, it sounds distorted, actually.
It does?
Yeah, I just had a call from a listener.
I'll come in. I'll come in. I think I know what's going on.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good. All right, so we'll go back to the conversation then, Fred. I'll take him off.
All right.
So that was good.
Yeah.
Kevin had a few good things to say.
Yeah, he always has a wealth of knowledge.
And I'm stuffed full from breakfast. I tell you, I love the market basket to begin with.
Yeah, their stuff's so good.
Yeah, I don't know how they're making any money on that sandwich, though. I mean, you must put 9
There's a half a pound of bacon on there, yeah.
Yeah. I'm full now till lunch.
Yep,
But
perfect.
He brought us, what, scones this morning? And
I got a muffin.
And I got an orange juice, too.
I didn't get orange juice.
I know. Well,
Jesus.
You need to-
And my
you need
muffin
to-
was
you need
warm
to
when he
catch
got
me.
here. It cooled off.
No, he brings me a juice every morning. I don't know if he used to. I know when Carl used to do the show before I did, and then Dan, and now me. Dan's still here. But Carl and Dan used to get, like, juice, too.
They did?
Yeah.
They
So
had
I think
special
he just kept bringing the
preferences.
juice. I'm like, you don't have to bring me anything. He's like, oh, no, it's a tradition. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to tell
Well,
you.
I'm happy to
Bring
have
me an egg
coffee.
sandwich from Market Basket.
I'm happy to have coffee on my morning show mornings because I'm usually here to deprive sleep a little bit, and a little bit of coffee helps out.
Oh, you seem like a morning person to me. I mean, you're...
Once you get a little wind in your sails, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, spoils us. He comes in with the box of Stewart's
he
every
keeps us-
morning.
yeah, we're well stocked
So
when he's
I
here.
went, before he left, I went and got a bunch of K-cups ready to go, and and now I see everybody, like last week, all the Joe Sinagra came in with his big thing of coffee. I'm like, God, I got all this coffee. No one's even drinking it. You've had some.
I had a
cups.
couple of them,
So,
yeah.
I used to think, I was like, God, this machine's stupid when it first came out. Now I wouldn't even think about making a pot of coffee anymore because you get a fresh
No,
cup
you
of
throw half
coffee
every time.
every single time.
Yeah.
and it's-
You throw half a pot away every day.
Yeah, exactly. You throw a half a pot away every day. Even though it makes the house smell really nice when it's doing it. So.
It does until it's been there too long, and then not so much.
It is. So what do you got on tap for today, Fred, besides changing the life of everyone in Saugerties?
That's a little bit over generous, but we will head back to the office after this. I have a couple of quick appointments, and then just try to catch up on some paperwork and emails.
That's cool. How's Sue's going? You guys back to pre-pandemic?
Not quite, but I'm optimistic again. It feels like it did in October.
Yeah,
and
like when everybody was finally getting...
In October, it started to feel normal. People were planning parties and congregating again.
Right, getting ready
and,
for Christmas, and then all of a sudden...
And then the brakes came on when the Omicron came around and spiked us, and it kind of, felt like you're stuck in the mud again for the past few months. But since Valentine's Day, I would say, it's starting to feel more normal and people are planning parties and kind of congregating and,
I've
kids
noticed
are playing basketball.
Yeah, I've noticed it going
talking about
skiing.
Little
Just
League.
like now that we don't have to wear masks you used to have to wear a mask on the lift line.
Yeah.
You'd come down and it's just like you'd sit online. You're like, oh, where's my mask? Have
Yeah.
to put your mask on. The days when it's not extremely cold out, all I wear is sunglasses. I don't even
Yeah,
wear
you
a
don't
hat
have
or
a
nothing. I'm
big
like
scarf or anything?
Yeah, I'm like the only guy in the mountain skiing without a helmet either. People were like looking at me. Like, remember back in the day when we
Back
were
in the
young?
day, no one had a helmet.
Well, no one had a helmet when I learned how to ski, and then. But remember back in the day when we were younger. Remember the guys that used to play hockey.
Mhm.
There was a guy in the Rangers. Remember with the
Yeah.
long black hair used to
Yep.
play hockey without a helmet. It'd be like, what is this guy nuts? He's gonna
Yep.
catch a puck right in his
Yeah.
teeth.
Yeah.
And now no one. You kidding me? No one would
it's
even
a
think about playing
foolhardy thing to do.
hockey without a helmet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you ought to wear a helmet when you ski too,
I don't. I tried it once, and it made me feel like I was top heavy. Listen, if I know how to ski. I've been skiing since I was like 5 or 6. Especially when I'm at my age now at 49, if I feel I'm going too fast, I just slow the hell down or stop. I'm not trying to break a leg or miss work. I got things to do.
Yeah,
man.
I understand.
So, and I remember telling this to my friends when we were in they're like, oh, you should just go ahead and splurge. Don't be a cheapskate. Buy the helmet. It's $200. I'm like, listen, it's not about being cheap. It's about if I feel I'm going too fast or if I've overextended myself, I just stop. I'll snowplow myself into a stop or just slow down, and that's it. And I could hear a lady telling all her kids, yeah, God, I wish I would have did that with my children. Not went out and dropped, $1,000 on helmets. But that's the way I was taught how to ski.
I know.
If you feel you're at, because sometimes you could come over a lip and catch. This is northeast skiing.
Mhm.
Catch a piece of ice. And that's it for you.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I look, and plus my eyes aren't as good as they were when I was 20 years old, so I don't ski that fast anymore.
All right. Well, they call it an accident for a reason.
No, I know. If someone runs into me, then we're gonna have a different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they definitely have value. I know my family members are all still loyal to skiing, and it's not even a thought to go out on the mountain without it.
I'm not the only one out there with it, but I just don't. What's the point, man? I'm not wearing that.
Still have a little defiance in you.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all right. It's it's fun. It's good.
I don't know. I also sweat when I'm skiing. I don't know. I'm not wearing a helmet, dude.
All right.
I'm not one of those special skiers.
I'll just make a recommendation. Yeah.
It's okay. My friends always give me.
I was trying to look out for you.
No, it's all good. Did you, when we were young, remember when we were riding bikes? We're pretty much the same.
Yeah, we didn't wear helmets back
We
then.
didn't wear helmets on bikes when we were kids. And how many times did you fall off the bike when you
were... more than...
You know what I'm saying? How many... I'd come home...
Elbows destroyed.
Knees
destroyed.
Arms destroyed. Gravel in our arms.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't... I went over the handlebars a couple times, and I've had some bad... I remember the first time I crashed on a motorcycle. I never got back on a motorcycle ever again. And that was like a little YZ80 when I was like 18 years old. I never wanted to ride a motorcycle ever again.
It cured you in one shot.
One time I was going over Long Lake snowmobiling, and I was doing way too fast, way faster than I was supposed to be going. Almost slid off the lake and into a tree. I stopped going that fast on a snowmobile.
Yeah,
and then eventually, a year and a half later, 2 years later, I sold my sled, and I never wanted to.
Don't even do it anymore.
So, yeah, it's not that I didn't like it. I liked the adrenaline rush, but
that's a sport that's changed a lot too.
Yeah,
when we were kids, it is expensive, and when we were kids, you could kind of do it around here.
Right now, you can't.
Now you basically cannot. Right. And then I remember when I was still doing it a little bit, we would go to Lake George and find good snow.
Right.
But that's not a guarantee any longer, so everybody's going to the same place.
That trail system, I know what you're talking about, the one in Warrensburg.
Yep.
It's the C5 loop. By lunchtime, that loop is so...
Yeah, it's beaten.
It's all beat to poop, and you can't ride that thing.
No.
And then you're like... If you don't have a brand new sled with,
best suspension,
suspension, you're going to... Guys like me and you are going to be having ice on our back at the end of the day. So... Yeah, I like to go up to Bel Air on a Friday, like we were talking earlier, ski, do 10, 11, 12 runs, and that's it. You want to do another test before we get off the air?
No, I can do it when we're on the air.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
All right, so since Paul's got somewhere to go, you want to wrap it up early?
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
All right, good.
Appreciate all the listeners being with us this morning.
Yes.
Thanks, Lawrence, for keeping me company all around the air here, and thank you.
Anytime.
And Settlement Cahill.
Yep, thanks, Settlement Cahill. And we'll be back tomorrow. We got some interesting guests. Brian Waltman and Len Bernardo are the hosts tomorrow. We got Central Hudson on. We're going to try to be as respectful as possible, but we also want to know why our bills are so expensive. So they'll be on at 7:30. Harry Waltman, the Grand Marshal for the parade on Sunday, he'll be in at 8. And I believe Nadine Ferraro from Upstate Originals is our 8:30 guest. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you later.